Well, hello. Well, today's episode's coming a little bit early. Not early as being uploaded to the internet. I actually spent a couple more hours than I normally would debating over whether or not to go ahead and do this episode. This is the episode that I've been hinting about, saying I was hoping to do after I got better. I'm actually feeling somewhat good right now, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be wearing my glasses, is I got to read some stuff. So please excuse me if the light is shining too much off my lenses. But this is the sermon episode, the episode in which I am going to just use, not just use, I'm going to read stuff from the Bible, refer to the Bible, and point out how many Christians are wrong in using the Bible to defend this certain topic. And this might become a regular topic discussion. But within this topic, there is something I forgot all about when I was younger that I came across and asked about when I went to church, and I was told not to ask about it. I will be doing a lesson on it later. You'll see. So, without further ado, let's get on into the sermon about abortion. Now, don't walk away yet. You know, if you're running around saying stuff, you need to really hear. Now, one thing I've always wondered, does the Bible mention anything about abortions? And it doesn't. A lot of people say it does. There are no verses specifically pertaining to abortion. They say thou shalt not kill. We'll come to that later, but that is not one. Okay? In fact, some people, I've asked them, I've been like, why do you think the Bible doesn't bring it up? Like, well, at the time it didn't exist. Such horrid stuff would not exist at that time. Yeah, at a time where the Bible has documentations of a city where people ate bird crap and ate their children. But it did exist. In fact, if you go back and look at ancient Greece history, 460 through 357 BC, you find out that you'll find abortions being documented. In fact, at the time, it was part of the Hippocratic Oath not to give them unless necessary, because it was very dangerous. And one doctor, let's see if I got his name here. I can't find it, because one of the common things is if you own a brothel, if your prostitutes got pregnant, what did you do? Well, this guy, this physician here, came up with a method that involved jumping up and down. The pregnant woman was to, let's read it here. Let me find it exactly where his wording. Jump up and down. She was to jump up and down, touching their feet to their buttocks with each jump. But they described it as, they said it was the seed, the baby would then fall out, and that's how they studied them. And you go just a little bit further up in time, abortions in certain areas around the world were so common that when the children became successful, they often thanked their families for not aborting them. And these are wealthy-to-do families in European countries. So it's interesting to know that this is starting back at 460 BC. That's before Christ, if you want to go with that. So surely, if the Bible had something against it, it could have brought it up. In fact, there's no mention of it in the Bible. So, what can we deliver from this information? Well, what we can deliver from this information is what I've already said. It's not there. It's not mentioned, nowhere to be seen. Now, people will then go in and say, what about killing in the Bible? Thou shalt not kill. Well, that depends. What is killing in the Bible? In the Bible, if you want to turn to Deuteronomy 13 through 18, it states that scoundrels among you are leading their fellow citizens astray by saying, let us go worship other gods, gods you have not known before. In such cases, you must examine the facts carefully. If you find that the report is true and such a detestable act has been committed among you, you must act that the town and you must attack the town and completely destroy all its inhabitants as well as the livestock. Then you must go pile all the plunder in the middle of an open square and burn it. Burn the entire town as a burnt offering to the Lord your God, that the town must remain a ruin forever. It may never be rebuilt. Keep none of the plunder that has been set apart from the destruction. Then the Lord will turn from his fierce anger and be merciful to you. He will have compassion on you and make you a large number, just as he swore to your ancestors. The Lord your God will be merciful only if you listen to his voice and keep all commandments that I am giving you today, doing what pleases him. Now, from that we can derive that thou shalt not kill only stands for followers of God. Now, there is a little bit about that I did find out about that verse, and I find it interesting. In the original Hebrew, it wasn't as long, and it wasn't just pertaining towards killing. You had an option in killing or doing something to sanctify. And as best I could find, what that meant was to build a church in its name in the town, but never interact with the citizens unless they came in on their own. And it was very weird. But seeing that's what it means by thou shalt not kill, leaves it pretty much open, because a baby can't be a Christian. An unborn thing cannot be Christian. It has yet to make its own decisions. So we have that fact. And I hope you're following along. Let's see. Then you have Deuteronomy 22:20 through 21, where it is fine to kill a woman if they are not virgins. Yeah, let me read it to you here. And it's, oh no, I didn't put that one down. But you can go look at it for yourself. It's Deuteronomy 22, chapter 22, verses 20 through 21. And basically it talks about taking a woman out into the street if she is not a virgin on her wedding night and stoning her. But, again, you can go look that one up. But the only reason why that one existed, because of the very end of the verse, it says, because this is the law of Israel. Now we're going someplace here. Now we're getting right down to what the laws pertaining to life and death in the Bible really pertain to. We go to Romans 13:1 through 5. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. And those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Let's skip down here. Then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment onto wrongdoers. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possibility of punishment, but also in a matter of consequences. Now, what this is most commonly dumbed down to the Bible says follow the laws of the land. So now, when you cut it down to the Bible says follow the laws of the lands, you leave out a whole lot of stuff there. It's not only follow the law of the land, but don't question the law of the land. Don't try to interact with the law of the land. And you can sit and read it yourself. I'll hand you back out the verse. Romans 13, 1 through 5. And don't worry, I will be bringing this one up in another episode anyways. So, put away your guns and knives before you decide to try to kill me. Because the law of the land, the laws that govern over you, that by Bible's intent, is there from God. That means the Obama administration is there from God, if you're following the Bible. And it's also illegal to kill in America unless it's in self-defense. And that means that there's some stipulations there too. Okay, so we have no real questioning about that. See, the thing is, I looked up verses that are specifically clear on what they say, and not something that can be interpreted. And I'm not using paraphrases like many people do. Many people will turn to this, they paraphrase it, and then they're on to the next thing. I'm going to read to you straight from the source. And I hope you read straight from the source. Now, I understand it varies because there are different versions. And that's kind of weird when you really think about it. Different versions of a book that is supposed to be so holy and untainted. But there's different versions. Now, let's see where I'm at here. Also, if you look at another part of the Bible where a baby is to be born, people say that the Bible brings it up as gifts. Babies are gifts, and it does. But it never really refers to anything beyond exiting the body. Now, I couldn't find it. If you can find it. Now, I know there is a verse that says the child within leaped for joy. That was one place and one place only, and that was a far long enough pregnancy. We can gather from the information the pregnancy was going on at least its 8th month. And basically, when you do find any place where the Bible does talk about a child, it says, it uses terms, will have a son, daughter, child, or will bring forth a son, daughter, or child. It does not say currently holding a son, daughter, or child. It didn't even say that about Mary holding Jesus. It says, it will bring forth a son in which you will name Jesus. And you can look at it in Matthew 1, 18, 20 through 21. If you need to pause the video, you can do that now. I feel I don't need to go through looking for every single instance, but that's, sums up that there, because it's not saying that it's life prior to being born, or at least not until the 8th month, from what we can gather. So, where does that bring us? So now you have an idea that you shouldn't kill humans because the law of the land says so. By the Bible, that means that's God's law. So what's human life by the law of the land? Well, that's a very tricky one, and I went looking into it, and later on in this video we'll talk about how I somewhat disagree with this, but many states declare that it's not life until after the 20th week, for the simple fact that it cannot survive on its own. If it was a premature baby born at 20 weeks, it would not survive. At the 21st week, they can survive, but it's very difficult. They have everything there, it can develop, and there has been children to survive. And it's a massive struggle. But we'll come back to that in a bit. That's telling us that by law of the land, most states, that's what that states. Now, keep everything that we've gone over in mind. Keep in mind people protesting, holding signs saying abortion is against the Bible. Keep that image in your head. Now, while you have that image in your head, let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2, very short one. Do not add to what I command you, and do not subtract from it, but keep the commandments of the Lord your God that I give you. That means don't add to the Bible and don't take away from it. That was the shortest verse I could find for it, because I wanted to keep these kind of short, simple, like I said. Other verses, other chapters will even go into telling you how it's false doctrine. And the only thing saving yourself then from a stoning is the law of the land. So, let's put all this together. We have the Bible has no rules on abortion. We have that thou shalt not kill. It's okay, but you have to then turn towards the law of the land. Once we're on the law of the land, you can't kill. But the law of the land states a 20-week-old child is all right to abort. Of course, this can change. I'm putting this in parentheses. Of course, this can change with the coming technology. And then the Bible says we shouldn't add to the Bible. So basically, when you say that you're a Christian, and the Bible says that abortions are bad, you're adding to the Bible. You're false doctrine. You're lying, and you're sinning. I say this because, even though I'm an atheist, I do believe that people are inherently good for the most part. And I know that there's possibility that a couple of people out there, they don't like the idea that they are possibly, well, it's not possibly, if you take it word for word and don't try to say, well, this is all metaphoric, because I took all the stuff that cannot be metaphoric that there's not a lot of people out there that will be nice about it. A lot of people can be assholes, and a lot of atheists can be assholes, just like a lot of Christians can be assholes. And I'm sorry I said I wouldn't curse during this, but it's part of my nature. And I was trying to hold back on it, but that's the only way I can describe it, is the type of individuals you would run into. And if me, someone who's only read through the Bible, I think twice in my life, can put this together and I'm not. And there's other people out there, other atheists out there who are rude. And they will use this same method. It can lead to some hurt feelings. And at the same time, you're not at all in the place of the mother. You don't know what she's going through. And that's what brings me to talk about some other things that I would like to cover on this subject. You know, and one last part of that is Luke 6, chapter 6, verse 37. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Everything that we put together here from the Bible, and with the information that is apparently provided through God, is information that basically comes down to step aside. Let the government figure the things out. In fact, I this is where the sermon's over. Now this is where I'm going to get a little personal on it. I don't think abortion should be a form of birth control. In no way should it be a form of birth control. And I have seen where it has been used as birth control. That's dumb. But at the same time, sex education and protection and control should be offered to younger people. Fighting to keep it out of our schools, fighting to keep it away from being able to be given to children. And yeah, I'm saying children. Is not good. I was taught about sex when I was very young. It continued with me all the way up into adulthood. I've yet to have children, and I'm 25 years old. Not because I'm scared, just because waiting till things are ready. And then as far as the 20-week thing goes, I'm afraid that at 20 weeks, that the possibility that that is a child then. It's safe to say at 10 weeks, there's no chance of them really having any formed memories or anything. In fact, most of the time, a female's body will abort a child on its own by the 10th week, almost like clockwork, between the 6th and the 10th week. But going up to 20 weeks leaves me questioning, and I'm sure eventually as science improves, we'll see just how developed the brain is. You know, and then the only thing that bothers me about putting a 10-week limitation on it would be, would it rush people's decisions? And then again, if it does rush people's decisions, and then they turn around and they wish they would have kept the child, does it matter then? I don't know. Because they're the ones that said, well, we couldn't do it, let's hurry up and have it done. I don't know. But I do know one thing: if you continue to fight to make abortions illegal, if people continue to do things like the law that just got passed in Virginia, it's not going to cause a decline in teen pregnancies. Yeah, there'll be a slight increase of births, but what you're going to see is an increase of girls who are going to be dying of diseases from trying to remove it themselves with coat hangers. More dead babies showing up in bathrooms. Prom night dumpster babies. I know it's a nice, funny little skit on Family Guy, but it does say a lot. And if the life is so precious to you, think about it. Its suffering could have been put over early on. But if the mother carried it and then left it in a garbage, its suffering lasted a lot longer than what would have happened had it been aborted. And I know this is some heavy shit, and honestly, I don't know how well people are going to take this. I do believe I'm going to get a backlash, but I don't care. If you get mad at me that I use your own material to point out that you're doing wrong in protesting and going on, then maybe you need to reevaluate yourself. Again, do unto others whatever you would like them to do to you. This is the essence of all that is taught in the law and the prophets. Matthew 7:12. Even though lessons like that can be traced back before the Bible was written, that is a very good thing to follow. And that's one of the things I follow my life by. If I'm doing wrong, I want someone to point it out. So when I see people doing wrong, I point it out. Even though there is that gray line right there where I believe in a God and you might not. Sorry, got that backwards, man. Where I don't believe in a God and you might. You have that run there. But as far as the Christian religion goes, I was raised in it. I know enough of it. And I can tell when people are not even looking at the stuff themselves. So, that's my little sermon. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, just think about it. It's not really your place to say what someone else does. And I didn't have to go through all that to prove that. There's other places in your book that states it. Unless you're an atheist, then, whatever. Hopefully you're using science over passion. Because I do believe that atheists have the problem when it comes down to this matter. That passion outrules what science has to say. And if science says that a child's developed enough to have memories at, 19 weeks, then I think abortion should be moved back. Even though I know there are a lot of people who say, well, it's her body. Well, once it becomes a conscious being, it's another thing. It's when that consciousness develops. And yeah, I know science has a hard time defining consciousness, but it's safe to say you have consciousness when you can form memories. Because when you break everything down, we live off memories. And it's interesting because there's a delay between what I've done now, and I heard myself saying a delay, there's like a 8 millisecond delay. I'll have to look into that, and I'll do a video on that one later. In fact, if you look at VSauce, I'll throw them out there. I'll put a link down in the description to their video. they go into a wild description about the delay and how everything that we're observing is in the past. And if you look through a psychology book, first year psychology, you'll find that out too. So, anyways, I hope you've had fun. I doubt that you did. Have a good one.